Hi, Purpose Partner. Welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission. We are your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
We are founders of Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, where we guide women to build profitable businesses online through diversifying your income, using kingdom principles in marketing, and operating in a spirit of rest so that you can create kingdom impact.
After this episode, be sure to join our Purpose Partner Facebook community and get your copy of our Rise to Your Purpose devotional so we can continue to serve you as we partner together in our faith and business. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hey, Purpose Partners, we are excited to have you back for another episode of our Rise to Your Purpose podcast. Some of you might also have the pleasure of getting to actually see this interview live with Drezden, because I really wanted to have as many women be able to see and hear this as possible, because learning some of these principles I think Drezden is going to share with you has been and had a major impact in my life, in my finances, and in my business. And so I really want to help get this information to more and more women. So to let you guys know about Drezden, who I'm here with today, she is a believer, a wife, a mother to two young girls. She's the owner of Palms ProBooks, and she is on a mission to helping creative female entrepreneurs who feel stuck and overwhelmed with their business finances. And so her goal is to really empower these women to build solid financial foundations to help them create wealth and make bigger impacts, which I absolutely love. And really that overall mission, and we were just even talking slightly before we started going live here, was to help women create generational wealth and legacies for their families. And that totally resonated with me. And I think just from day one of why I was so excited to be able to connect with you was really what your mission was, and that you were helping women to understand their business finances, become better stewards of what God has for them and what God has blessed them with. And so we have this gift, and I believe that too. We have this gift of our business. And so now we need to understand how to fully steward that so that we are prepared for the more that God has for us. So I'd love for you to feel free to introduce yourself a little bit more, and then we'll dive into really uncovering our topic today, really diving into business finances and what to be looking for as you're really building that generational wealth.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. So, goodness, it has been quite the journey for me starting my business and getting connected with all of the wonderful women that God has placed in my life. And out of everything, the one thing that I have realized the most is that God gives each woman a specific talent and purpose. You know, we all go into business for something that we are good at, our strong suit. And so a lot of the women that I actually work with are very creative. They're visionary. They like those goals and big pictures, but they don't always know how to get there. And so it's a difference in like their mind sees colors and creativity and not necessarily the raw hard numbers. And so that's a weakness for a lot of the women that I come across. And so coming from a family where I see both, like my mom was a really successful businesswoman, but my aunt actually taught me a lot in cosmetology because she has that artistic side. And so I got to see kind of both pictures of really godly women who were using different gifts, and I get to relate to both. And so I also realized that there's a really big lack out there for creating or for teaching women what you need to even do with your finances. Like in school, it's all just like calculus, or if nothing is really geared towards real life or becoming an entrepreneur. Like they're training you how to be an employee essentially. So they're not getting the tools for, okay, what do I need to do in order to grow my business? Like I have this really awesome idea and I know that God wants me to do with this, but how do I get there? How am I making wise business investments so that I can grow forward and so that I can reach the women or people that God wants me to serve? Like there's so much unknowns in the financial side of things. And so that's where I come in to try and help teach these basic principles so that you can create that solid financial foundation so that you can reach your goals and to grow and to scale and create those opportunities for stewardship.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so much too, because I remember even as I was starting in business, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing really. And how do I track everything? And how do
Mhm.
I, know what I can do when it comes to taxes and all the things, right? And so
Mhm.
like you said, it is definitely lacking. It's lacking in schools and it's lacking in even the entrepreneurial space. There's not many people. You kind of just like, here you go, and you're kind of forced to figure it out as you go. So I love that now we can partner with other Christian women like you that who can, like you said, kind of
Mhm.
we can be creative and go out and do those things, but you can come in and help us behind the scenes with really getting things lined up. So before we dive in to a lot of the like business financial things, I would love to just kind of talk a little bit about what your vision of creating generational wealth and those legacies. And I think one of the things that blocks women sometimes from really fully stepping into that and taking that next step in their finances, especially what I've seen a lot in just the Christian community, has been the just our mindset when it comes to money and feeling afraid.
Mhm.
I know even at once, like I felt like I had this calling to create wealth, but then there was a part of me that was afraid to, because I felt like it wasn't attainable, or I felt like I shouldn't want that. Like maybe that was sinful to
Mhm.
feel that way. And then also I think just having that fear of, well, not wanting to get caught up in the love of money and making money an idol.
Mhm.
And so what would you say to those women who are maybe kind of stuck in that fear, or that the kind of money mindset, limiting beliefs around that, that's kind of hindering them from being able to fully step into that vision?
It is so hard because I feel like a lot of people kind of cram it down your throats, like, oh, you can't be rich. You can't be rich and be a Christian. Like, there is so much stigma about money and wealth and being a Christian, not necessarily even a woman, but just a Christian in general with trying to manage money and grow a business, because they think that you have to lay down everything and just give it all away, but that's not true because God uses money as a tool. The difference in money being a sin or money being like greed is the mindset behind it and how you're prioritizing it. If you're seeking money just to feel secure and comfortable and like buy all of the things that your heart desires, then there's a problem. But when you're using that as a tool to further the kingdom or to help your family, like that in itself is not a sinful thing. God wants to bless you. He wants to create these things to give you tools to expand and to reach more people and to help your family and to actually enjoy life. You know, God only calls us to to give 10% away from Him. Like we're able to enjoy the blessings because He's very giving and generous, and He loves for us to have pleasures, you know, within reason, as long as we're relying on Him and remembering that everything comes from Him and it's His first before it is ever our own. And so my grandma has actually been the best example of this in my life because she is so beyond generous. And because of that, she knows that everything that she has come from the Lord. And they have worked very hard to get to the place that they are so that they can bless their children, so that they can bless their grandchildren. And so now they're to the point where they've invested so much into land and property, into things so that they can just bless their grandkids and keep all of their family close and help them build a home to live on, you know? And so creating that generational wealth is really about managing your assets and things properly now so that it can set future generations up for success later on. It's about taking those stepping stones so that your kids or your grandkids and so forth have it a little bit easier and have a little bit more advantage than maybe you have. And so I can't remember the exact Bible verse that it comes from, but there's one key part where it talks about a tree and how it was very selfless for people back in the ancient times to plant a tree because they were never going to see the benefit of that tree. Back then, that was shade, that was something that provided cool for them while they were out wandering the heat of the desert. And so the idea, like they were not cheap to buy these trees to plant them, but the goal was that they were going to be able to have their grandkids or the future generation reap the benefits while they were working hard, caring for this tree, knowing that it was going to foster. Maybe they didn't get to see it for themselves, but they were so excited that the future generations would be able to reap the reward of what they worked hard for. And so that's really the goal with our finances, is remembering that it's how we're being a steward. It's how we are showing people and reaching people um, and calling them to the love of Christ. And we're able to bless others because of the way that we're managing our money and our wealth and showing people that it can be different.
You said all that so beautifully. So I think a lot of women listening definitely get a word from that for sure. And I think that really leads beautifully into, talking about, you mentioned stepping stones and preparing
Hmm.
the way for the future generations, for your family. And so what does that
Hmm.
like, what is someone who maybe getting started in like their network marketing or an online marketing business, or like you said, the creative female entrepreneurs, what are things that you see that women don't do that they definitely should start doing, so that when they come and like work
Hmm.
with you, that this could help make their life easier, your life easier, and really be able to propel forward in their finances, like in a
Hmm.
stewardship way?
Sure. So the biggest thing that I see that's kind of universal is a fear of managing money. They kind of put it on the back burner because they're like, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Like, I don't even want to touch it. We're gonna box it up, put it away, and then touch it when it comes to tax time because that's when I know that I have to file a tax return. So I will conquer it then. And so then what happens is when we keep putting that on the back burner, it starts out as something that's a really little thing, but then it just compounds and keeps growing and keeps growing. And then it just gets um, manageable and becomes very a period of time trying to backpedal and remember what things were for and get everything ready to go in like a huge chunk of time. So the biggest piece of advice that I could have for anybody trying to manage their finances is to do little bits here and there when you have the time to do it, because I promise you, you're going to know that what that Walmart transaction was for now. But if you wait 3, 6, 9 months from now, you're going to be like, ooh, was that diapers or was that office supplies? Like, I don't know, And so the key is to just try to break it up into manageable little pieces. And then the other part of it that's going to save you a ton of time is to keep your business and personal finances separate. You can have a bank account for your business funds and a bank account for your personal and family funds, and you can transfer to and from as often as you want. But the key is to have all of your income and expenses come out of one place for your business account, and it's going to save you a lot of headache and trouble later on.
Yeah. Do you know, you'll be ashamed of this, but this is finally the first year of my accountant that I finally started doing that. And I've been building online and doing business stuff with my husband for the past like 7 to 10 years. And we just now
Hmm.
finally did that. And I thought, I can't believe I've gone
Okay.
this long and not, and not really knowing that I needed, but not really asking that either. And so I'm
Hmm.
these things now.
Right.
And that was me too. I could totally resonate where I used to wait till the end of the year and then I would try and sit down on a Saturday and do everything. And it's just overwhelming. And like you said, you don't know everything. So then you lose, you probably lose tax deductions that you really needed or could have had
Hmm.
if you had been organized. So I
Yep.
finally, do you recommend a certain way for people? I know I ended up getting like a spreadsheet and now I'm doing like QuickBooks.
Hmm.
So is there
Yep.
something that you recommend for women that can help them so that they don't have that overwhelm and wait till the end of the year, but something that can help them kind of track along the way? And is that something that you can help women like create for themselves and for unique to their
Hmm.
business?
Yeah, so the starting place for every single person is different. So for somebody just starting out, you can totally get by with just a simple spreadsheet. Now, I wouldn't recommend that once your transactions are like above 20 to 30 per month, just because it's going to be really cumbersome and tedious, and it's a lot more prone to typos and errors, and you can't really reconcile anything with a spreadsheet. So while you're really small and still growing, a spreadsheet's totally fine. But as you're growing and ready to take on more and have more robust accounting features so that you can make those wise decisions, you're really going to benefit from having proper financial reports like a balance sheet and a profit and loss and so forth. So that's when I would recommend switching over to a software. Um, Now, there are lots of different things out there. So, like, I train people who aren't ready for like an accountant ongoing. That way, they know like start to finish. I have a PDF basic bookkeeping guide that I actually customize for the clients who are going to work with me. That way they have a checklist like, okay, I know I have to do this, checked it off. I know I have to do this, check it off. And then I give them guidance on how to actually do that. And I walk them through Zoom calls and make it really personal. But those who are ready to get a little bit bigger and are thinking about making next steps on like outsourcing some things and so forth, that's when it would be wise to partner with somebody to kind of help you see the bigger picture, who maybe has a little bit more understanding of how to read financial reports. Because if it's not necessarily your gift, you may get those reports every single month, but then you're like, okay, what do I do with these? What is it actually telling me? I have no idea. And so that's where I actually partner with all of my clients. And I get on meetings with them. I'll Zoom with them and be like, okay, this is what this report's telling you. I know that you were thinking about making this move forward. Like, this is where I think it would be profitable for you. And I really partner with them. That way they can understand their finances and make these decisions empowered.
Yeah. And I love that. I love how personable you make it and differentiate it essentially to each client based on their needs. And I think that is key as well to just developing that good like client relationship. And I know that's something I always value is like when I can work with my accountant and just kind of call her or have those meetings. It's really helped my husband and I. So that's why I've just been so excited for you to be able to connect with more women, because I think that that is so needed in this industry. And so with that too, so we're getting organized in our finances. We're then, being able to, as we're earning more, can really then move from maybe a spreadsheet to bookkeeping, but also, like you said, not waiting till the last minute to track everything, really starting to track things, write things down as you go and as you have those receipts. Is there any, if you were to say like one other tip, and especially like we're coming into, tax season and things like this, but ways that can help, and going back to kind of that, getting into that, the next level of creating wealth, that you would recommend or encourage them to really start thinking of now, even if they're starting out, to really be able to help them to scale and start thinking of, like you said, those wise investments. Any other tip or advice that you?
Definitely. So there are ways that you can put money aside and invest it into your future through like Roth IRAs and things like that, where it's a deductible expense for your business. So it's going to reduce the amount of taxes that you owe, but it's also going to compound and build over time and create that generational wealth going forward, because it's going to set you up for retirement. And there are also other ways that you can grow like funds in order to set your children up for success too. So once you're like growing and you're ready to like hire people and start doing payroll and things like that, depending on like how old your children are, you can actually save a ton of money by hiring your children. And the key here is you're actually legitimately paying them for work that they're doing, but that money that you're paying them, you can set that aside and put it into like an investment account for them, so that they are set up for their future, whether that be like a college fund, or there's like certain life insurance plans where they can draw out of that once they reach a certain age. And so looking into those things once your business is making a lot more profits, I think can be very, very beneficial for you on creating those generational wealth for your family and for your kids, and setting them up for success too.
I love that. I feel like you just gave us really good stepping stones from kind of start to thinking beyond. And so I think that is very wise and good for the ladies here. So I hope that each of you have, I know you've definitely gotten something out of today, but I hope you'll kind of take this and take some of these tips and start implementing them. And if you do not have someone that is working with you already, I highly encourage connecting with someone who is already in the entrepreneurial space, like Drezden. Like, she understands what that looks like, not having, and you do all of it. I mean, I know you work with brick and mortar and things like that too. You understand how to do it all. But I think as someone who is an entrepreneur, I always feel so good that like when you can connect with someone who's also an entrepreneur and understands your type of business model and how to make it work for you and make the most of it. Because I've worked with accountants in the past who like had kind of old school, had no idea really what I was doing. And so they couldn't really advise me. And so I think, ladies, if you have not partnered with someone yet, Drezden would be such an amazing woman for you to be able to connect with and help you in really scaling this part of your business when it comes to your finances, understanding how to steward it, understanding how to like she said, really start thinking about the future, but also just starting with the basics of let's get you organized. Let's help you know where your money is and what it's doing. Because I realized I was that person, started out with the parable of the talents. I was the guy who dug my money in the sand, or the ground, because I didn't know what to do with it and I was afraid to lose it. And then it was like it's baby steps from there. So learn from my mistakes and know that if you start now, then you can definitely be much wiser. And then God can now trust you with more, right? We see he shows that time and time
Mhm.
again through scripture. And so it's us, like you mentioned too, going back to that it's not that we're relying on money or that we're trying to put our trust or our hope in money and security, but knowing that it all comes from the Lord. And so let's take that gift and now steward it to the best of our ability. And so working with someone who really knows what they're doing and having that beautiful partnership can just really create and set yourself up for success down the road. So, is there anything else that you want to leave with the listeners? Um, and also tell us more about how they can work with you and connect with you. And then I'll also make sure to post that in the show notes too.
Sure, of course. So I do have a free basic bookkeeping guide that I do want to send to you. That way you can drop it for all of the listeners. That way it just gives them really helpful tips and tricks for doing your bookkeeping on a regular basis. And then I'm on Facebook. You are more than welcome to friend request me. Drezden Palms is my name, or I'm also on Instagram. It's Drezden.Palms ProBooks. Um, and then, my website has some good freebies on there. PalmsProBooks.com to send any kind of questions that you have just in Messenger or email or so forth, and I would love to answer your questions for you. My goal is just to help you be successful and to thrive and to have the resources available to you.
Yes, love that. Thank you so much, Dresden, for your time. And I'm excited for these women to get to connect with you and hopefully partner with you in faith and business. So thank you, ladies, for jumping on and watching either this in our Purpose Partner community. You can, if you're not over there and you're maybe watching it on our Rise to Your Purpose podcast, be sure to join the group so we can get connected further. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We would love to hear from you. So please share your takeaways by tagging @LiveVictorious over on Instagram and leave a review.
This will help us get more visibility and reach more women like you for the kingdom. We appreciate you and are praying for you as you shine your light in the business world and rise to your purpose.
Hey, sister, I also wanted to let you know that Drezden is a member of our Girl Power Alliance community, and she's also a power partner. So this means that when you connect with her through GPA, then you will get a discounted price to be able to work with her as your service provider and or financial coach. And so this is something special that we offer within the GPA community. One of the perks of being a member there is that you get to work and have access to a lot of different coaches and service providers in order to help you propel forward in the calling that God has placed on your heart. And so I love that we have Drezden as one of our financial providers for our members. And so that can also be a great way for you to connect with her. So if you want to look more into GPA, just click the link in the show notes.